everyone, and today we are continuing part 2 of our two-part HIV video. If you have not seen part 1, the link is immediately in the description. Go watch that. It's like 10-11 minutes tops, and then when you're done with that, come back, watch part 2. For all of you that have already seen part 1, then you already know how this is going to go. So without further ado, let's continue. So AIDS is a chronic disease, meaning that you will have it for the rest of your entire life, however short or long that may be. HIV is a chronic disease. AIDS is a chronic disease. But a lot of people live with chronic diseases. What else is a chronic disease? A lot of mental illnesses are chronic diseases. Cancer is actually a chronic disease. Type 1 diabetes is a chronic disease. So a lot of people live with chronic diseases and they're totally fine. And it's totally fine if you have HIV, a chronic disease, and you can live with it too. You do not have to die with AIDS. I'm here to tell you that you do not have to die of AIDS. So who should get tested? In my opinion, everyone should get tested. If you have ever had sex, if you've ever had a blood transfusion, if you've ever injected yourself with a needle, if you've ever got tattoos at a super shady parlor shop or with a friend that was using not the best technology, you should get tested. And even if you don't think you should need testing, getting tested is a good experience anyways. It makes it less scary. There's a lot of places that do free testing, a lot of places where testing is really inexpensive, a lot of places where your health insurance can cover your testing. So step number 1 of not dying with HIV or AIDS is to get tested. I am putting a link in the description of a website where you can find your nearest testing centers. You can also just go to your primary care physician and ask them if they can administer a test or where you can go to administer a test. The first time that I was ever tested for HIV and other STDs, it was at a gynecologist's office, and what they did was they took a small blood sample, they sent it to a lab, and a few days later I got a call telling me that I was negative for HIV and pretty much every other STD out there. So it's really not scary. Everyone is super professional about it. No one is going to judge you if you do have HIV or other STDs. There's a lot of places that do free testing, a lot of places where testing is really inexpensive, a lot of places where your health insurance can cover your testing. Everyone should get tested. If you have multiple sexual partners, you should get tested. If your sexual partner has multiple sexual partners, you should get tested. If you inject illicit drugs, you should get tested. So on and so forth. Pretty much, I think everyone should get tested for HIV and other STDs. That's my opinion. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to take you down 2 paths now. One is you get tested and you don't have HIV, and the other is you get tested and you do have HIV. So first I'm going to talk about the people that get tested and don't have HIV. Great, you don't have HIV. That doesn't mean that you won't ever get HIV though. So you need to get tested regularly, especially when you're switching partners, and you need to make sure that your partners are also tested for HIV. If you have HIV, if they have HIV, they should tell you. If you have HIV, you should tell your sexual partners. This is so important. And talking about sexual partners, the best way to prevent yourself from getting HIV is to practice safe sex. What do I mean by that? I mean using condoms. I mean talking to your sexual partners about whether they have HIV or whether you have HIV. I mean getting tested regularly. I mean using condoms. Mostly it's using condoms. And I want to talk about condoms for a second. A lot of people, not too many, but a lot, enough for me to mention it, use condoms incorrectly. So when you use a condom, you want to pinch the top and roll it down to the penis. Do not roll it over the balls. That is a mistake. It will probably hurt. Condoms should only be used once. Use a new condom every time you have sex. As soon as you finish using that condom, throw it away. If you want to go for round 2, use a round 2 condom. Do not use the same condom. Use a new condom. Another thing about condoms is that a lot of people keep condoms in their wallet, which is a super, super bad idea because you're always pulling your wallet out of your purse, out of your pants, out of whatever. You're opening it, you're taking stuff out, you're putting stuff back in, and this causes a lot of friction. Friction will destroy your condoms. So what I recommend, what I used to do, is keeping my condoms in an Altoids tin. It's a hard surface, it's inconspicuous, they fit in there pretty well, and it's like perfect. So condoms, safe sexual partners. Good for you. Practice that, do it, live your best life. Have as many sexual partners as you want, just use condoms. I don't know so much about scissoring, I don't know how to prevent it scissoring. I've never scissored with another girl, so if anyone has scissored and knows anything about scissoring or how to prevent HIV when you're scissoring, please leave a comment and let me know because I'm actually curious about that. Okay, so we already covered one way, the most common way that HIV is spread, which is through sex. But what about needles? So I'm not going to sit here and lecture people about addiction or about the dangers of illicit drug use or any about that. I can make a whole other video about addiction. It's really complex. Again, like cancer, it's super complex and there's a lot of misconceptions about it. Video for the future. But what I can tell you is that there are these things called safe needle programs. They also go by some other names, and I'm going to put a link in the description about it and where you can find out more information, where you can find a program. They are federally funded, they are totally free, and what they do is they provide people with safe needles and syringes that they can use to inject heroin or cocaine or whatever your drug of choice is, and then they help you dispose of the needle properly. Right after one use, you dispose the needle, and they will provide you with more for free. Like, this is 100% free. Anyone should completely take advantage of this. Well, not anyone. Anyone who uses illicit drugs and injects illicit drugs should take advantage of this. Please, please, please do. It is safer. It is more efficient. It is better for your health. So, link in the description about that. And now I want to talk about people who do have HIV. So you got tested and you were tested HIV positive. What now? You probably are going to panic, and that's fine. Allow yourself to panic a little bit. Allow yourself to wallow and grieve and feel completely terrible about yourself for like at least 10 minutes. But don't stay there for too long. Don't stay there for like more than 2 days, hopefully. What I'm saying is you have to move on and you've got to be proactive and you have to start doing research. First of all, learn about drugs and treatment. So there are a lot of treatments now. The sooner you get tested, the sooner you find out about it, the sooner you can start treatment, the better it is for your health. The better and longer and more healthy and productive and wonderful life you're going to live, because there's treatment out there for you. There is antiviral treatment for HIV that will slow down or stop the disease from progressing forward and turning into AIDS. I would recommend doing a lot of in-depth research about those treatments, and then I would recommend making an appointment with your PCP as soon as possible. Talk to your primary care physician. Tell them that you have HIV. Tell them that you've done research on the treatments and you want to get started on them as soon as possible. Really, it's important that you get started as soon as possible. Be really proactive and own it, man. I'm going to do another video about living with a chronic illness. I live with a chronic illness. My mom lives with a chronic illness. I know what it's like for there to not be a cure and for you to only have like treatments that help prevent symptoms or help prevent it from getting worse. I promise you it's not that hard. I promise you that it is not the end of the world, and I promise you that you can do this. Alright everyone, that's it for part 2 of this HIV video. If you have any comments, any questions, anything in particular that you really liked and want to share, leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, like it. If you like me, subscribe. And I hope to see you guys again next week when I have another video to talk about. Until then, be safe, be educated, be awesome.